You ever walk into your own house and feel like you just stepped into a nightmare? I wasn't supposed to be home. Flight got canceled last minute, something about a fuel issue over in Denver. So I figured, what the heck, I'll surprise my wife and kid, maybe even catch Ethan still up doing his goofy little science experiments in the living room. You know, be the fun dad who brings candy at bedtime. But what I saw that night, it burned itself into my brain. Our house sits on this long stretch of land outside of Charleston. Big, beautiful, too quiet for its own good sometimes. The kind of place you only build when you think nothing can touch you. I walked through the front door, didn't even slam it, just that soft click, and I hear this voice from the dining room, sweet and drawn out like molasses on a hot day. "Come on, darling, just one more bite." That's my wife, Veronica. Elegant, polished, always dressed like she's going somewhere important, even when she's in the kitchen. I follow the voice. My son, Ethan, 10 years old, sits stiff at the table, his eyes big and watery, a spoon hovering near his mouth. Veronica's holding it, and her smile. It didn't match her eyes. Something about it felt off, like a statue that's trying too hard to look alive. I said I don't want it. Ethan cried, his voice cracking. I froze in the doorway. That wasn't whining. That was fear. Real, bone-deep fear. Veronica didn't flinch. She leaned in and hissed, "Stop this nonsense, Ethan. Eat the soup." Now listen, I've been in boardrooms with men who run entire industries. I've closed billion-dollar deals in Tokyo and Berlin. But in that moment, watching my son tremble while his stepmother forced a spoon toward his mouth, none of that power meant a damn thing. "Hey," I barked. "What's going on?" The spoon dropped. Soup splashed across the floor. Ethan jumped out of his chair and ran straight into my arms like he'd just been saved from drowning. "Dad, don't let her make me eat it," he sobbed into my chest. I told her no. She kept trying. I looked at Veronica, still standing there with that smile, except now it was cracking at the edges. "Richard," she said, voice high, hands fluttering like she was swatting at invisible flies. "He's just being difficult. You know how kids are." I wasn't listening to her. I was looking at that bowl. It smelled wrong. Not spoiled. Just strange. "What was in it?" I asked. My voice wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. Every inch of that room suddenly felt colder. "Just soup," she whispered. Why would I ever hurt him? But Ethan clung to me tighter, and I could feel it. This wasn't just a tantrum. This was survival. So I took him upstairs. Didn't say another word. But inside, my thoughts were racing. This woman I married 2 years after Ethan's mom passed, had always been perfect. Too perfect. She knew exactly how to talk to people, how to smile for the cameras at charity events, how to make my colleagues' wives adore her. But I remember the way Ethan used to pull back when she'd hug him, the way he'd go quiet if she entered the room. I'd told myself it was just grief, that he'd come around. But that night broke something open in me. I stayed up by his bedside watching him sleep. He murmured in his dreams, "Don't make me eat it." And that was it. Tomorrow that soup was going to a lab. I didn't care if I had to fly the results back from DC myself. Downstairs, I knew Veronica wasn't sleeping. I could picture her pacing her heels, clicking on that Italian marble she loved so much, the same floor now stained with soup. She was already building her defense. She always did. But what she didn't know, what she never saw coming, was that I wasn't just some oblivious husband anymore. That switch. It flipped. The moment Ethan looked up at me with those terrified eyes, I wasn't a businessman. I was a father, and someone had tried to hurt my boy. I didn't tell her I was sending the soup out for testing. Didn't need to. I let the silence do the talking. That next morning, I dropped Ethan off with my sister across town, told her everything. She cried harder than I've ever seen. Then I made the call. Private lab. No questions. Rush order. Veronica tried to play it cool, smiling, fixing my tie, kissing my cheek like nothing had happened. I let her. I wanted to see how far she'd take it. 3 days later, I got the results. Trace elements of aconitine monkshood. Old poison. Not even common anymore. But deadly. Undetectable in small doses. Symptoms mimic a viral infection. Vomiting seizures. Death if too late. And she'd been feeding it to my son. You ever feel your soul freeze in real time? I confronted her that night, paper in hand. She laughed. Laughed like I'd shown her a parking ticket. You think I'd be stupid enough to poison him with that asterisk, she said. I didn't raise my voice, just held her gaze. You're not stupid, Veronica. You're patient. You've been waiting, watching, planning. She stepped back, the color draining from her face. You don't have proof, she hissed. I don't need it for what's coming. See, I'd already talked to my lawyer, talked to child services, talked to my security team. Every interaction she ever had with Ethan recorded. Backlogged footage from the nanny cams she never knew I reinstalled. Her face when she found out worth every ounce of betrayal I felt. Divorce papers served that same night. Restraining order. Full custody. Assets frozen pending investigation. And when the story hit the press because, oh, it did I watched her fall. Sponsors pulled back. Friends ghosted her. The darling of Charleston society, gone. And me, I stayed right where I was, with my son. Now Ethan laughs again. Real laughs. The kind that echo through the hallways and make the place feel like a home again, not a stage set for someone else's ambition. But sometimes I still wonder, how many others wear smiles like hers? How many kids out there get dismissed? Their instincts ignored because the adults around them think they're too dramatic, too sensitive, too young to understand. I'll say this, if your gut tells you something's wrong, even if it looks perfect on the outside, trust it. And if you've ever been silenced, ever been brushed off, called crazy or ungrateful for calling something out, drop your story in the comments. Because you might just be the one person someone else needs to hear from tonight. You ever walk into your own house and feel like you just stepped into a nightmare? I wasn't supposed to be home. Flight got canceled last minute, something about a fuel issue over in Denver. So I figured, what the heck, I'll surprise my wife and kid, maybe even catch Ethan still up doing his goofy little science experiments in the living room. You know, be the fun dad who brings candy at bedtime. But what I saw that night, it burned itself into my brain. Our house sits on this long stretch of land outside of Charleston. Big, beautiful